All right, we have liftoff.
Get it working?
Finally, oh my goodness. Sorry, continuity camera is such a pain and my actual camera's dead. So here we are. We're back.
We're back.
All right, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. Yeah, just seeing the results of our updates from a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So some of those trials are now starting to come in, which is exciting. And still getting a lot of failed payments. And I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they're in the e-com space slash consumer goods space. So they have more, I guess, like true consumer data per se than a business like mine, which I think is more business focused than consumer. They were saying how 25 up to 25% of their purchases are being purchased with a some version of a buy now pay later platform. 25% of their gross volume. These are, $100 million brands or businesses.
And this is a consumer application?
These are consumer brands.
Consumer brands.
So think CPG, apparel,
Yeah,
all,
yeah, yeah.
the Target and the Walgreens and like all those things.
Yeah.
But they were talking about how up like 25% of their gross volume is being used or is being paid by a buy now pay later solution. Klarna,
Yep.
all these options.
I hate
And
to
what,
say it, I'm not surprised. When I was in ecom, we had a couple brands that 10% of the revenue was coming from Afterpay alone.
there we go. So already semi confirmed. And where it kind of relates to SaaS and it relates to us is they started talking about privacy.com and how a lot of people are using privacy.com to do this process, but then also create virtual credit cards with zero balances and just trying to see if they'll go through on these platforms. And for people like us or with Stammer, we authorize that credit card, which could be a privacy credit card, but then when it goes to actually charge that credit card, there's a zero balance on it, which then shows insufficient funds, which then makes it a failed payment, which then shows up on our end as lost revenue, even though that credit card wasn't like real in the first place in a sense.
So I think I know, but in case I don't, a privacy credit card is basically a credit card that you can use to process payments on trials, like log a credit card, but it doesn't actually charge anything and it's not linking back to anywhere, right?
The way I understand it is it's like you add a debit card, I believe, and then you can create virtual credit cards that are tagged to your debit account.
Got it. Got it.
And then you can set specific limits. So you can be like, oh, this credit card has a $3 limit. And then you now have a virtual credit card number that you can use anywhere that the business on the businesses, and they have no way of telling that that is a virtual card or not. It's just it's just a normal number. We like Stripe doesn't know. So my theory, and there's my theory is that there's a lot of people going around, especially in this AI space, where they're trying hundreds, if not, like all these different things. They're like, oh, well, instead of me putting my credit card in 100 different AI apps, let me use this privacy solution, which then allows me to try all these things without having to worry about getting charged when the trial's over or anything weird. And unfortunately, I don't think there's much we can really do about that. I did kind of start to think that maybe this is one of the reasons why Shopify charges $1 instead of a free trial.
That's funny. That's exactly where my head was going to. But yeah, I get it. I think you're going to get that a lot in your industry. And
Yep.
I can actually see the benefit of those tools because a lot of apps, like especially new ones that are sort of hacked together, there is no easy cancellation. It's like, oh, email our customer service to cancel. But
Oh,
sometimes,
that's the worst. One second, damn leaf blower again.
yep.
Yeah, agreed. So
Well, there's not much that you can do about that. So are some of these trials converting? Like you have the whole new onboarding, right? It's add your credit card to get the trial. Did that make as big of a difference as you thought it would?
so far our conversion rate is holding steady. We're 41% from trial to paid.
Nice.
and the
That's
new
pretty good.
onboarding flow 3x'd our trials.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I think we still have to wait a couple weeks for it to flow through a good amount of data to be able to make some sort of analytical decision. I think it's still too early. We're only like 3 days in on the 14-day conversion window. So I think in the next, like within the next once we get a full 2 weeks of conversion data, we should be able to see kind of what's going on. But I mean, it's really cool to be able to see that our total active trials went from 30 to 40 on a 2 week basis now into 90, almost 100.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
And that was just like with that one simple onboarding flow change,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah, you can't underestimate the power of onboarding.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I've been, continuously trying to find those like little hacks, especially from that software as a science book, trying to figure out like, okay, what are these other little levers that I can just push or pull to make a 3x change. Like it's such an incredible delta of value to what I paid $14 for that book, and now I'm generating thousands of dollars of more revenue. Not bad.
No, no, not bad at all. I think there's probably a similar benefit in heat map softwares where you can see exactly where the user is getting stuck. So that's something that I'm going to focus on next. Like where, especially in onboarding, it's so critical. Is there any point in onboarding where users are consistently falling off?
And we're still getting our new trials to, or new accounts to trials is still like, I mean, it doubled. It's like 20% now. So, I mean, we still have 80% of people that are not choosing a trial. Like they're just getting to the platform. Oh, I have to do a trial, and then they leave.
Oh, wow.
So there's still a huge cohort of people, and so I've been working on my FOMO flow, my FOMO email flow, to try to help encourage those people that have created new accounts but haven't been able to even get to the dashboard yet to come back and start your credit card trial.
Could you do some kind of discounted rate for like X number of months?
And that was kind of one of my thoughts, just working off of Shopify's example there, where I think they do the 1 month for $1, and then I think you were saying if it's an affiliate, it's 3 months at $1 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So that to me seems like a good place to start in terms of like theory, but when I think it comes to execution, much grander brand presence, and they've been around and established for a lot longer, where I think that offer is a no-brainer for someone who's considering it, whereas even $1 charge might be like F these guys, like I'll just find, which is ridiculous, but that's kind of that's like the consumer vibe I'm getting from
Yeah. Yeah,
some of
that's the
these.
perception for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And with Shopify, there really is not a close second. Like there is no other good option out there. 'Cause there are
Not
so many AI competitors, and there are so many shitty ones that pop up with great marketing. Um, it's tough because that's who you're competing against.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to figure out now is how now that we have a much higher converting funnel, I want to retry the ad campaigns that we were trying previously that weren't converting because people would just get to that point and then they would fall off or never take further action because most of those people were probably on their mobile and then opting in and then realizing that it's a desktop it's a desktop experience, even though it is mobile. Like you can access it on mobile, it's just not the best.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think there's a disconnect there? Do you feel like there's a difference between people that are seeing the ad on mobile and then going through the funnel and then realizing they have to go to desktop and then they just sort of abandon it?
I don't have like a statistic or a data point on that, but that would be my feeling or my gut.
Yeah.
My gut is saying that,
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
which is why I want to really focus in on that email flow
Yeah.
and I forget the guy's name, but like that method of just slamming people with emails for as many per day as, kind of humanly possible until they either do start a trial or they unsubscribe, and kind of go from there and see
Yeah,
see
that's
what
it.
happens.
It's so interesting, these challenges, because I think a lot of this actually doesn't exist in mobile app development. Like the credit card issue, how many people are adding a false credit card into their Apple Wallet?
None.
It doesn't happen. Or the click through
Yeah.
rate, click from ad just opens the App Store link. Like it's just so smooth. There's no disconnect. Um, Obviously, it's going to be hard in its own ways that I probably haven't realized yet. But like all these tiny little nuances that you have to figure out when you are building a web first app.
That's a good point. I think there's the benefit of being in that ecosystem, and then obviously the cons of that ecosystem where Apple takes 30% and else. But like, yeah, the guardrails of like, this is how it should be done. As long as you stay within these guardrails, like your app will be, I mean, I don't want to say a success, but like at least not,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
or I don't know. That's maybe not a right way to say it, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, they give you so many things. Like they give you exposure through the App Store and the fact that literally anybody with a phone can download it. So you're paying for the privilege to have that market.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything weird that you've come across developing this app that you're like, why is it done this way? Or why, like, is there anything that like weird stands out to you like that?
So not the developing side because I'm not doing it. So I'm sure there are little nuances that I will probably just never discover. But on the advertising side, one thing I found, I, I I knew that it happened, but I really did research on it yesterday. I spent a good amount of time figuring it out. Is when you initially launch an app on the App Store, you get an initial spike in views, downloads, and revenue, and then it will trickle down. And I realized that across the board, universally, every app gets this, but there is no explanation as to why it's happened. So I found one theory on why this is happening and how your ad gets these initial views. Because it's not like you're paying for the sponsored post areas immediately. Like, okay, sorry, I'm being theoretical. Here's specifically what is happening. Inside of the Apple App Store, there are four places where you can pay for an ad. There's on the home page, which is like the browse discover page. There is on the search suggested page. So you go to search and your app is suggested at the top before the user types anything in. There's the search results page, which is after you searched for the thing, your ad could show up at the top if your keywords are related and those are the keywords that you're bidding on that the user searched. It's like Google Ads that way. Or it could be people who downloaded this also downloaded this. So you're in one of the competitors' ads and then your ad is shown at the bottom. Here's the thing. But there is a hidden ad placement that Apple does not tell you about that is exclusively reserved for apps that are just launched, and you only get this placement in the 7 days after you launch the app. And this is the name of your app in the search bar. So when someone starts searching, let's say it's a keyword like baby tracker, mine would show up Bambi, smarter parenting baby tracker, right? But this is an SEO rank. So the people that are actually going to show up first are like Huckleberry, Flow Health, Peanut, like all of the huge parenting apps that everybody is using. But when you first launch your app, you get the privilege of showing up in that search field. So you get really high SEO in 7 days. And Apple's now publicized this. Like you have basically 7 days to get traction from that initial launch. And after that, it's up to you. So that's a one weird thing that I figured out is that that's why every single new app gets this big spike in downloads and then it falls off. And then it's up to you as the owner or developer to figure out how to get users from there.
Interesting.
So that
Okay,
was
so
kind of an interesting one.
this reminds me of, I forget the name of it, and you might have come across this in your research. I want to say it was one of these guys on X that was talking about how they did that, and they released this app that was like a message disappearing in text messages app.
Okay. I don't remember this one.
But let me see if I can find it. They did what you just said. They optimized the name of the app to be like tap and hold and message. Like it wasn't the actual name of the app, but it was like what people would have searched for and then changed the name after that. And it
100%.
it got a ton of traction and action. And I mean, as an influencer on Twitter, so, grain of salt, but like a lot of people were commenting on that specific fact of how the app's name was like SEO optimized on launch.
Yeah. So that's super important. And I did not know that. So the first version of our app, looking back, it was such a mistake. We just called it the brand name. We just called it Bambi.
Yeah.
That's it. And then I'm like, oh no, we can add more. So let's improve it. So then we called it Bambi straight line. I don't know the name for it. It's like the reverse slash that's straight line.
Yep.
Bambi smarter parenting. That was version 1.1. I'm like,
Yeah. Keep going.
a
Yep.
little more descriptive, like we're getting there. And now version 2, like the whole relaunch is happening starting next week. We're rolling out the features one by one. But now we're renaming it to be Baby Tracker Straight Line Bambi. The name is at the end because it's SEO optimized. If someone is searching for baby tracker, sleep tracker, milestone tracker, like anything related to those terms, which is our primary features, then I'm hoping that we're going to rank better on the organic SEO.
That makes a lot of sense. Did it ever cross your mind of like possible issues with the name Bambi and like Disney?
It's crossed my mind.
Have you have you done anything about that?
No, I haven't, because here's the thing. We're not technically breaking any copyright laws. We're not breaking any trademark laws. Like, they don't have Bambi app patented or trademarked anywhere, especially with two eyes. But this is also a mega multi-billion dollar company, Disney. That might just be like, nope, gone. So yeah, I've had a few people ask me about that. It's crossed my mind. I have not done anything about it.
I think in your case and from our past experiences, like if you get a cease and desist letter, you just change the name.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Easy.
But then it's like, well, if I'm going to do that, I should just do it now, because we're going to get all of our SEO ranked for a branded term that's going to have to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do? You think I should just go ahead and change it now? Just get it over with.
So you could honestly, so in today's world of like social media marketing, I think you could use that to your advantage if that was to happen. You could almost call it out or like screenshot it and be like, "Whoa, look who found us," or like, "Look who found out." Because remember, like when we were doing the art brand, and Warner Brothers shut us down. Like we tried to change the name or whatever, but like it was still the material itself was copyrighted, which killed the whole business. But in your case, that's not enforceable. Like the content itself is not enforceable. It's just the name. So in that scenario, like we could have played off that and like made art about that issue, like, oh, the big man like coming to take us down and blah blah blah, and like that could probably get you a lot of action on many different social media platforms.
It's funny you say that. I had that exact conversation with Kathy last night. We were talking about the name. We're like, if we get a C and D, we can use it to our advantage.
Yeah.
We can just talk about it. And it, as much as it sucks, it is a sign that we're on the right path. If we get Disney to recognize you.
Yeah. Well, and that your reach is good enough to be able to get in front of someone who has the ability to make a decision like that. And I think that's the only reason Warner got on our ass, was because the ads that you were running were so good that like it got in front of those executives, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
I would probably like if you get big enough, it will happen. I think
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So I would almost like just have a contingency plan of here's what happens. Here's how we need to, hey, engineers, like when this happens, here's the plan. And we're going to try to leverage it to get tons of downloads or something. Like Disney hated us and I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And if it happens, I'll definitely leverage it. But it is kind of a shitty growth tactic.
It's a response growth tactic. It's not in your primary, quiver.
Right. Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've thought about it. We'll probably have to do it eventually. But it's honestly, it's one of those things. It's just like add it to the list.
And it's one of the, yeah, it's I think one of those things where it's a retaliatory or it's a reaction. It's not something that you put brain energy into before you have users or customers or product market fit or any of those things.
Yeah. Cool. Next topic, question. You listed Stammer on Product Hunt, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
It did okay.
Yeah.
What I've started to realize is you need to do it more than once. So some of the companies that I've even worked with doing promotional videos, their call to action was, hey, we're releasing this new feature on Product Hunt. Go to Product Hunt to upvote it. And then it's like an established brand. Like the ones that come to mind are like Loom. Like when Loom did a new release of a new feature, they had like a secondary release on Product Hunt. There's the app that can like track your clicks to create SOP workflows. I forget the name of that one, but they had me do a video on that.
Yeah, Tango.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good
Yeah.
app.
So for Stammer, we're thinking of redoing it when we release this next, and we were going to do it for live chat, but we realized that live chat wasn't actually that big of a feature from like the people who wanted it were large enough customers where we were like, okay, yeah, we'll make this and build this. But adoption rate across the board is not as high as we expected, comparably to something like Master Chat or even Voice, which is where we're planning to do the re-release on Product Hunt.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Not Master Chat. Sorry, what was the feature? Yeah, Yeah, that probably doesn't have the same application as something like Voice would.
Or live chat to Master Chat.
Sorry, live chat. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Master Chat, which we demoed to everybody in our office hours on Tuesday. One of the first questions was, can we rename it ourselves? It's like, yeah, that's a great suggestion. Master Chat was always like a placeholder name just for our internal team. And then it just kind of rolled into, that's the name that we were going to call it, but it's kind of a terrible name. So I don't mind letting people rename it at all.
Yeah.
But more and more people are going to be familiar with that feature alone, aside from literally anything else that we've built over the last 2 years. And it's kind of funny that we're just now coming to that point where we realize, oh, this is actually what most people need. It's not the crazy extensive functionality. It's just like the simple stuff right now still.
It's interesting. I mean, think about how many hours and how much development and time you put into building it to realize, like, it's taken so much time and effort to realize what customers actually want.
Yeah. And what our customers can sell. And that's, I just chose an incredibly complex and complicated like thing to build. And if I could give advice to anybody listening, is try to go as simple as possible and iterate on features after you get customer feedback, and try to set up a community or a feedback loop or a system where you can get that feedback as quickly as possible. And if you can iterate on that every week, by the time you have a year in, like the amount of iterations and updates that you'll make that are from people's feedback, then make the app better and better and better. Like it's just that compound growth of functionality, which then I think breeds these viral applications that people start recommending to their friends. And I think that plays really well into what you're doing.
It's a good point. Yeah, core functionality is the thing that you need to nail. Like it is the most important thing. I heard somebody say if you can't describe your app in 3 words, it's not going to go viral. And I thought that was really interesting. Like it just needs to be so clear what the value is, so easy to understand what you do, that when someone tells someone else what it is, they intuitively and immediately know what it does.
Okay, so I'll say the 3 words for yours, and then you say them for mine, and let's see if we can guess.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
So I would say for yours, the way when I've talked to other people, like when I, tell Tim about it or something, I'll be like, oh, it's a baby tracking app. So I would say maybe like, I want to say AI baby tracking, but I almost don't even want to put the word AI in there. I would say,
I struggle with that all the time.
yeah, baby health tracking, maybe.
Yeah, I would probably call it baby growth tracker.
Maybe growth track. Okay. All
But the
right.
thing is, you could use the three words for each of the three features. I'm sure you feel like this too. You could describe your app in many different ways.
Yeah.
But like the most important feature, the one that I'm going to use multiple times a day, and I think other people will, is the sleep tracker. So it's baby sleep tracker. But then we have a growth and milestone tracker as well. So then it'd be baby growth tracker, baby milestone tracker. And then we have a meal plan feature, which is kind of like an adjacent feature. It's not directly correlated to the tracking theme
Uh-huh.
that we're following, and I've realized that. I just think it's going to be so useful. I kind of just built the things that I wanted to use.
Yeah. And I was going to say that is the other, aside from getting customer feedback, the things I found most useful to building a software company is getting that user feedback as quickly as possible, and then using your own product on a daily basis. And I think so many people don't do that, where you then lose, like you start losing control, basically. So the fact that you're going to be using that app as you're building it to solve your own problems, and oh, whoopsie daisies, a million other people also have this problem.
I hope a million other people have this problem.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
No, they do for sure. It's a matter of right now for version 2.0 that's launching next week. It's a matter of beating our biggest competitor, basically, because we're launching the sleep tracker next, and our competitor is really good. But I think, like a lot of legacy apps, it's so robust and there are so many nuances and complexities that they I don't think they do the core thing really, really well. I don't think they do the core of sleep tracking really well because there's so many other variables and so many graphs and charts and like text boxes. There's so much information that they kind of just missed the core functionality. At least that's my take on it. Um, so
Well,
I've
you would
spoken
know as a user.
and I've spoken with now over a dozen other users like me, daily active users of Huckleberry, and they all kind of say the same thing. They're using it for one feature, and there are tiny little things about the feature that they don't like. So we're just refining. Basically, if I was in charge of this company, what would I do to improve it? I would improve the UX a little bit, and I would refine the functionality a little bit. Like just really, really nail the core features, and then remove all the extra fluff. It's the exact same thing as like MyFitnessPal and Cal AI. Same thing. MyFitnessPal is objectively better. They have way more features. But Cal AI just improved the core feature and added the additional novelty of scanning your food.
Did you ever do the strategy of trying to like scrape reviews or comments of Huckleberry to then find negative reviews of what people are saying and try to like that's what I need to hone in on?
I'm definitely going to do that when we get off the call now.
Okay.
I haven't done that. No, not
That
yet.
could
What's that?
that could be a really interesting app in and of itself. Like enter in the name of your competitor, and then the system or the AI goes and scrapes all the comments from the App Store, from Reddit, from Twitter, and then just semantic, it'll positive or negative, and then category. I'm sure there's got to be something out there. If not, I'm going to vibe code that later today.
I'm writing this down. Definitely going to look into that. What I have been doing though is manually talking to users of Huckleberry and saying, hey, I built something that solves a similar problem, but in a better way. Can I show it to you? And the response I'm getting is pretty good. Most people are saying, yeah, for sure, I love Huckleberry, but I'm happy to take a look at yours. I'm like, awesome. I love it too. I also use it every day. But there are things that could be a little better, and that's why we're making this.
Yeah. Is there any part of Huckleberry that's like gamified at all?
No, not that I can think of.
That's something that's been in my mind just as the wave of consumers that are coming into purchasing power is now extending to people that were born in 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those people are 20 plus years old. Which to me means that like that idea or concept of gamification can be applied to everything because it's now attracting or it's now being shown to people who have that purchasing power who grew up on this even more so than we did. So one of the things that I've been trying to think of is like, how can I add gamification in a way that it doesn't feel like it's gamified, but it still provides that dopamine hit of, oh, I need to come back to the app to come and do more things, re-engage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thought. I don't know how it would play out with a utility app. I just need to think about it a little bit more. We did add I mean, I think people will come back and use it multiple times a day to track sleep. That's the obvious
Yeah.
one. It's like Google in that sense. Anytime you have a question, I don't use Google anymore. I use ChatGPT, but like Google it. There's a reason that it has become a saying. So, and it was Larry LePage that said if you can make something that people are using multiple times a day, it's not recurring, it's reoccurring, then you have a good app on your hands. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I think Bambi will be. It's not recurring, like you use it every month or every day even. You use it multiple times a day. It's reoccurring. But the one thing that we added is a social sharing feature. So I was looking at the YouTube deep dive on these like indie developers, and I found this one dude who got his app to like really blow up on social media. It was a Pokemon card scanner that would give you the value of the card. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is really cool. And he added a simple social sharing button. It's like, share this. And it just downloads a PNG of the card that you scanned with the associated value. It like makes this little graph, and then people can share it to social media. And then he used a different URL that is not his company URL and redirected that to the app page. Pretty simple.
Smart.
So we did that. I can show you quickly.
I think another good broad example of that is Strava.
I don't know Strava.
Strava is a fitness application that's becoming like the new social media application in certain areas in the United States,
Okay, cool.
where you can track it syncs automatically to Apple Health. So it tracks when you do like a workout on your watch, it automatically tracks your location and your workout and your heart rate and all that stuff into Strava, but then you can share that to social media where it shows your route, it shows all your stats in a nice little graphic,
Nice.
post right to stories.
That's pretty cool. I
Very
mean, I
familiar.
see those posts all the time. I didn't realize what it was.
Yeah, Strava's getting very big.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So here's what we had. This was like hacking it together at midnight, but it was when you log a milestone for your child. So it could be height, it could be weight, or it could be a one-off thing, like they lost their tooth.
I'd say fatal growth.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, good catch. Fetal growth. Okay, so it's a one-off milestone, like first steps. It gives you this little like
Oh, nice.
card thing.
Perfect.
And then Bambi.social redirects to the iOS app page.
Oh, I didn't even see that initially.
Yeah. Probably need to make it a bit bigger then.
What if you
I'm trying to draw the line between practical and like branding for us.
so
Not practical, subtle.
just sticking with the Strava example. So Strava, they would have the Bambi.social is probably like a 50% transparency that's a little bit larger in the top left-hand corner. And then right there where it says Bambi.social, that would be where the stats are showed.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to try that.
So maybe, yeah, you can maybe put in some sort of like stats comparing to others, something like he's in the top 1% of,
That was the other thing. I was going to do that. I'm like, you could put the age in the percentile.
that could be toggles. You could be like, oh, what do you want to what do you want to put on this photo?
Oh, fuck, that's good. That's good. God damn it. Okay. I'm going to take a note. All right, so add toggles to include age and percentile. What was the other thing we said? Oh
I
yeah,
think.
logo top right.
Oh yeah. Top, larger with a little bit of transparency. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'll fuck with it.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I've been telling like, just people on the team about it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna fucking crush now." Like when you showed 2.0 versus 1.0, and I was like, "Oh, I would invest in that now."
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a huge difference. I hope you're right. I hope it's gonna crush. But
yeah. Yeah. So, somewhat related to the will it crush example is this concept of the SaaS growth ceiling calculator. I don't know if we've ever talked about this or if I've shown this to you. I think this would be interesting to just run as a thought experiment for you.
okay.
So let me share my screen. Nope. Oh, entire screen. Here we go. Okay. All right. So this is from the playbook basically, but the idea here is to figure out what your growth ceiling is for your business. And from my understanding, the growth ceiling is essentially a method that allows you to figure out where your MRR will kind of stall out. And every company has this formula. And when I was doing it for myself, it allowed me to kind of play around with some different numbers to figure out kind of what metric I needed to focus on in order to achieve higher lift. So for example, if we put in like 100 customers, let's say you get, 50 new customers a month. Your monthly churn is, let's say, like 5%. Your average revenue per user per month is like, what, like 10 bucks a month maybe?
Sure. Yeah.
So like based off of those values, after 42 months, you would roughly have 900 subscribers and your MRR would be like $9,000.
Got it.
So what's interesting is like you start to play with some of these numbers and you start to see how like, oh, if I can reduce my churn by 1%, it now increases my subscribers by like 1,100, and that's by 1% decrease in churn. And so like then scaling things up to, different numbers, you can start to see where things might get interesting or
So is the
not.
reason the curve plateaus is because you're acquiring customers at a flat rate, but your churn is a percentage, right? Is that basically it?
Correct. Yeah. And the more new customers that you get with a static percentage, it just increases.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. There's a plateau eventually.
Eventually. And this is like kind of one of the, not a holy grail moment, but it was a very big realization moment where the book flat out is like, your business, your software is not unique. It could be a web app. It could be an iOS app. It could be literally anything, but every software company follows this formula in some way.
Yeah.
And being aware of this formula allows you to try to figure out where you can make changes in order to have the biggest lift in your business. And for us, like we initially saw it stalling out at like 10, 12K when we first started. And that's because we had such a high churn and we didn't have enough customers. But as things have filled it out over the last 2 years, we've now, heavily exceeded that to where this graph has reset multiple different times based off of these changes that we're doing, because now these numbers are all different. So I don't know. It's more of, I think it's just like an interesting exercise to kind of see where your business might go depending on what you are charging and what your customers are doing. And
Yeah. It's a good thought exercise for sure. Can you share this with me?
yeah. And this is a public thing. So we can put this in the show notes as well.
Nice. Yeah. This is really cool.
So yeah, just another interesting tidbit.
Totally. Totally. So I was chatting with my brother yesterday. He's a software founder as well. And he asked me the very simple question, but like, what's your goal for this? What's your revenue target or your user target? And I have a really hard time figuring out what that is because I don't know if it's going to be successful after launch. I think either it's going to work and we can scale, or it's not going to work and I have to iterate. Either iterate marketing or iterate the product.
Yeah.
I guess there's not
I
really a
mean,
question. I'm more just thinking out loud.
I think that's an inevitable part of software development is iteration and updates. I think maybe the better question is how much
I know.
debt, how much money are you willing to spend in order to see any return versus profitability versus not? And that calculator might actually help you figure that out. Because if you're like, oh, I have to get 10,000 subscribers in order to just break even on initial development, how much
Yeah.
do you have to spend in order to get those 10,000? It's like
Yep. Yep. For sure.
you could figure that out kind of. And this is probably where, like myself, you'll start looking at the value of VC funding and not necessarily like wanting to go after, but seeing how it is useful. And that was never something that I thought I would even consider, but I totally see it now of why if you don't have money or you're not also working a job, like you have no like you have to find money in order to get someone to.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. For sure. Yeah, I'm seeing that. And I knew that it would be expensive and I kind of expected it to be tens of thousands of dollars. Um, but it's one thing to know it and another thing to spend it.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I'm spending way more money than I've ever had in my entire life.
Every
Like
month.
for the business, obviously, but
Yeah, yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah,
yeah, just
all
another.
part
It's
of
just
it.
another realm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I take that, but like our $100,000 purchase orders of stuff in the past was up there.
Yeah. But we could use debt for that. And not a long-term debt, but we had 50 days on Amex to pay it back.
Yeah,
But like we did put it on a credit card. I'd
true.
be reluctant to put software development on a credit card and just cross my fingers. Like you can only do that when you know that you have an operational business. Like we knew what our margin was. We knew that we were getting like whatever a 2.8 or to
Yeah,
3.2 return on ad spend.
yeah. Which is funny because I'm now doing that again, but I'm only doing so with profit.
Doing what? Reinvesting the profit into development basically? Because development is the new purchase order.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And putting that on a credit card.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is you have revenue and you know what all your growth metrics are. Like I would be nervous to do that now because I don't know if it's going to work.
Yes, yes. And yeah, for sure. And I mean,
But
I
as
was
soon as I
very
figure
nervous.
out the numbers, if I figure out that this is going to be a great business, then I would have no problem taking on debt. It just needs to be manageable, and I can clearly see like the
Yeah,
value to have the money. But I don't know if I would take on debt anytime soon because I can self-fund a lot of it, and unless I need multiple millions of dollars, then I'm probably just not going to take debt.
yeah. That was kind of my realization as well.
There's almost not no point, but there's almost no point in kind of growing. You should really grow. Like if you're gonna take debt, like really fucking explode it, not kind of inch up when you could have done the same thing on your own without debt and giving up equity 12 months later.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there are just too many countless horror stories I've heard of founders getting screwed over and making no money even on their exit after doing multiple rounds of funding. Where I mean, it's just like it seems to me that more people are promoting and impressed with the fact that they raised X amount of dollars versus the fact that their company is making any money at all.
100%, 100%, dude. I think it's like that in a lot of industries, especially online. I saw that a lot in agencies or in course sales, especially course sales is fucking crazy. People just reinvest all of their revenue back into ads to sell more courses, but their profit margin is like fucking 5%, 10%. It makes no sense on something that
Yeah.
should be such a high margin business.
Yeah. It's kind of annoying a
Yeah.
little bit.
Or the e-com example is great. Like it's so easy to show a Shopify screenshot of making 100K a month. It really is not that difficult to scale it up if you're using ads. But What's the profit? In many cases, non-existent.
Yep. And then you have founder split, and then you have taxes, and then you have all these other things. It's like, oh well, yeah, at the end of the day, you're walking around with sometimes negative,
Yeah.
sometimes negative money. Yeah.
I heard a piece of advice early on. If you're running a business that is not going to have a high equity or high multiple on exit or have high enterprise value, then you should try to take as much money out of the business as you can, as you reasonably can to yourself. Because if you're not going to get a high exit, you might as well line your own pocket. At that point, just accept the fact that it's a cash flow business and try to take as much as you can from it.
And there's nothing wrong doing that, nor is there anything wrong with operating a middle level business. Like there's nothing wrong with like running a business that's doing not that much money comparatively to like what you might want as an exit. And I think that's where it comes back to things like the agency model, where you just continuously delegate, use that profit to get yourself out of the operational side of things
Yeah.
and like make it work for itself while you can then focus on other things. And that's what myself and Tim we've been trying to do for, I mean, the last couple years, is like pay ourselves a decent amount of money, but not to the expense of the business.
Well, yeah, that's the big caveat. You can't pay yourself to the detriment of your own growth. Like you don't want to squander your growth because you paid yourself too much money and now you need funding. But like
Yeah.
if you're cash flowing and it's profitable and you don't have anything to reinvest the money into immediately and it's basically just a cash cushion, you should take a portion of that, a good amount of that for yourself. Because ultimately that is the end goal. Like you really are just trying to get rich.
Why are we starting this why are we doing this in the first place?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Just to
Exactly.
make
The whole
money.
point is to get rich anyway. So why not just, start now?
Exactly. Did your camera just die?
No, sorry. Got something in my eye. Hang on. All right. I'm back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to launch. Oh my gosh. I've been so on the edge of my seat because we launched version 1. And as we were approaching the end of building it and I'm demoing it and I'm showing it to friends and my parents and like people that I think would use it, I just realized there was a little voice in the back of my head. I'm like, this is a GPT wrapper. Like, no one is going to know that it has this machine learning backend unless you use it 25 times a day for a week. It's not, no one's going to give it enough of a try to realize that it's a little bit different. And it still looks like ChatGPT. I'm like, it's just not unique enough. And then
Yeah.
I spoke to designers, UX guys, and developers. And I learned that you can't just build something entirely off of AI. You have to hard code all the important shit and let AI be supplementary, but you shouldn't lead your application with AI. And that was the huge fatal mistake that I made. So we stopped all advertising, didn't try to get users at all because the churn was horrendous. And now that we are relaunching, I feel a lot more confident about it, but I really don't know what to expect.
I think that's the right mind space to be in.
Yeah.
Cautious, but hopeful and optimistic. I'm very optimistic about it. Like from just seeing it and seeing how you're approaching things, and through these conversations, seeing how like you're taking the lessons that I've learned to then do that in your own way. I mean, it's gonna work. It's just how well is it going, how big is it going to scale?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It will get users for sure. And
Yeah.
I can also see the scale. I can see two sides of the coin. I can either see it being unprofitable to acquire customers because we will get customers no matter what. But it's either going to be because we're going to run ads and get a lot of content and like whatever, do all the things, get customers. It's just a question of, are we going to get our cost per purchase? Like we need cost per download. And then are we going to get the proper conversion rate from download, making use of the free trial, to converting? Is that cost going to be lower than what we had to pay to acquire the user? And if yes, like, oh my gosh, we're off to the races. We can scale. And if not, then it's what's the retention? What's the weekly, because we have a weekly plan, a monthly plan, and an annual plan. What's the retention on the weekly and monthly? And what's the retention on annual? Are people actually going to resubscribe? And we'll be able to figure that out, I think, based on heat maps and based on daily usage. So if we just see the daily active usage drop off a cliff after somebody buys the annual plan, like it's done. They're not going to renew. They already canceled the plan. It's not going to, we won't be able to charge them again. So either, I guess the scenarios are either we are unprofitable on acquisition and we don't have the daily active usage to justify renewal, and then it's kind of dead in the water until we make a new version or feature updates, or it's unprofitable on acquisition, but we have retention and then it will be profitable on renewal, like let's say 12 months later. Or the best case scenario is that it's profitable on acquisition and we have the daily active usage to justify continuous renewal. And that's where the enterprise value is. And I think where this is cash flowy but not enterprise value is if you're profitable on acquisition because the advertising is really good, but you don't have the daily active users, so people churn out at 12 months when it renews, which is fine. You can cash flow, but it's not like you're building a business with great enterprise value if you have whatever over 50% churn annually.
Yeah. Two things. First is the book talks about how if you can be profitable on acquisition, that's like the holy grail. But the metric that they use is 3 months, 90 days. You have to be profitable after 90 days of a user, or else the metrics are all thrown off. So that would be, and that's in between those options that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So that might be an interesting one to add to that stack to track, is what that retention looks like at 90 days, and if that is a positive ROI on acquisition at 90 days. So 3 months or 12 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Second thing is what is the maximum amount of time that a parent would use this for a single child? 3 years, 4 years? Like when does a child age out of this app?
That's a good one. That's the structural churn question. Probably, I'd say realistic 2.5-year-old to 3-year-old, optimistic 4 years old.
Okay. So if you used that as the metric on the end here of, let's say, 4 years at $30 a year or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like in that probably slim scenario, is it like how profitable is it there comparatively to 3 months? And if that margin is like not that much bigger, then that says something. I'm trying to think of what that says, but I don't know. There's some interesting thoughts around that kind of concept, I think.
I've thought about that too. Yeah, there will be a lot of structural churn because kids just get older, so they'll outgrow the app. So I think with this, it's really important to be profitable on acquisition. That's what I'm really, really trying to aim for. And that's where I'm just running it like an e-com play, pricing it like e-com too, like $29.99 a year is our discounted price. That's the 50% off. The regular is $59.99. But yeah, I think that the kind of math that I'm doing is if it's like, let's say a $30 product and we have a 10% conversion rate, we basically need a $3 cost per download. That's what we're going for. Or a $6 cost per download on the full price. Or if the conversion rate is 15%, it's an $8 cost per download on full price, or $4 cost on discounted.
So are you considering a cost per download as like an initiate checkout step almost?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess so if you need a direct comparison to e-com, yeah, but it's just a different ball game. It's like it's the step before purchase. It's a trial.
That's okay.
It's a trial. I'm banking, and we increased the length of the trial as well because I think there's going to be a balancing act of if you try to get users to pay immediately before they even access. Bless you.
Thank you.
If you try to get them to pay immediately before they even access the app, I think they're just going to abandon it and not even use it.
Yeah.
But if you give a 3-day trial and they don't use it within 30 days or don't use it a lot, then it's just going to churn out. So I think there's a sweet spot. We're now doing 7-day trial on annual, 3-day trial on weekly.
Okay, good. I thought the way that you said that, I was like, oh, 30-day trial. Oh shit.
No, that's too long.
That's way too long.
Yeah. The only time we're giving a 30-day trial is for content creators, so they can have time to download it and use it before they pay for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, having that longer trial kind of really messes up the ability to pay off your credit card with ad spend for that user in the time period that Amex is going to require it to be paid off.
Yeah, well, I'll do you one better. We launched February 6th. We're not getting our payout until April 8th.
Whoa,
That's Apple for you. 2 months.
that's
They're,
like their net
that's standard.
60 standard.
Net 60 standard. It's
Fuck.
horrendous.
Fuck.
And they take 30%.
And what
Thank you very much.
is it 30% even if you're under a million?
No. So it's 15% under a million.
Okay. Yeah. I know. I remember they changed that. But
It
still.
used to be 30% and then 15% on renewal after 12 months,
Got it. Yeah.
which is crazy. But yeah,
Net 60 wild. And that sucks. For a multi-billion-dollar company like that, like come on.
I know. So, and then there's the other thing for funding. It's like, hey, we have like whatever, 30K waiting for us to hit the account, but we're out of money and we can't run ads. So we're just going to wait like sitting ducks until we get our money. And then, okay, now we have the money. Now we can pay off the card and then keep running ads and grow the business.
Are you going to keep engineering or support on?
What's that?
Are you going to, well, I guess you did it as more of a freelance thing. Are you going to hire or are you going to have a support and engineering team that you have on payroll?
Yeah, engineering for sure. Already. They're already on payroll. They're 40 hours a week around the clock.
And that will continue throughout the launch of the app. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
They're already full-time now because I'm rolling it out one feature at a time. So we have the sleep feature launching next week that I'm very excited about. And I'm hoping we have all the ads set up. So as soon as it's live, I can just boom, flick the switch, get the ads going. Creators are making videos. We're going to have lots of tagged content. We're going to have Spark codes on everything. And then that will really tell me if this thing has legs. And then after that launches, they're working on the milestone feature next, and then the meal plan feature last. So we're just rolling them out feature by feature so that I'm hoping we can grow some legs on the sleep feature being released, and then all the others to follow.
Inside of the app, do you have a way for users to submit support tickets or get help or tell you about bugs?
We do, yes. But you can tell me if it is good or bad. Here's what we have.
Feature request. Okay.
We have a little feature request box and then a contact us box. And it's just very simple email support right now. There's nothing further.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a good place to start.
I know there's a lot of, there's third-party apps that you can integrate specifically for iOS and Android that are made for support tickets.
Makes sense.
We just haven't gone there.
Simple. Keep going simple as long as you can. I would recommend.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we got to do.
Yeah. Very exciting. I can't wait to just see the launch and the progress.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. Oh, okay, wait, last thing. This was one feature where as we're building out this sleep feature. Where are we here? Yeah. As we're building this out, Kathy says to me at night, we're talking about this and we're using the sleep tracker. We're putting Noah down for bed. Mm-hmm. And she's like, it sucks that the Huckleberry widget is $120 per year. And I'm like, oh my God, easy. The widget. So what do? We built the fucking widgets. I'm going to show you here. It's easy. Like this, on the lock screen, you get the widget. It's not a notification. It's a widget of, hey, their nap time is coming up. Time to read them a book, whatever, change their diaper, get them ready to nap. And then we have the lock screen sleep timer. So we have, where is it? This little guy.
Oh.
And then you tap on it and it's here. It's kind of like if you're recording a voice note or a screen recording, you get the dynamic island has those functions. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not really, because I have a 13, so I'm still behind the dynamic island stuff.
Oh, dude. Okay. So yeah, dynamic island is sick because if you're, let's say, recording a voice note, this is exactly what it looks like. There's this thing here. So here I can show you, we have all of the widgets for all of Apple's apps. So you have actual home screen widgets, which you obviously know about.
Yeah.
And then we also have Is this it? Yeah, dynamic islands. Yeah. Here we go. So it's like the timer, the voice recorder, AirPod charging, incoming phone call, AirDrop. These are all of the things that show up in the dynamic island. So Kathy just looked over to me and she said, like, it sucks that this is $120 a year. Like,
Just that feature?
just this feature. It comes with some extra shit, but that's the thing. This app is so jam-packed with features that people don't use, that customers don't want. There are core features that they kind of do okay, but they're not nailing it. But this is one of the things that parents find useful. And I find it useful too. If I can see on my home screen, or more importantly, if I can see on my lock screen, like here, how long my child's been asleep for, and I don't have to open up the app every time, which is annoying, just right there, then that's great. Or now I can have my baby camera up, right? I can have the baby monitor, and I can have this little guy just automatically shown so I can see how long has he been down for. Because right now, my current user experience is I have the baby camera up, he starts to stir, he's going to wake up. I'm like, okay, how long has he been down for? Close the application, go over to Huckleberry, open it up, see how long he's been down for. Go back to the camera, wait for the camera to relink, so it's like a 5-second delay until I can see the kid again. So it's like this little thing. This is what I was talking about last week. Sorry, I'm geeking out now. The UX is so important. It's especially on an iPhone app. There's not a ton that you can do on the design, but this tiny little experience that's $120.
That's it.
Our biggest competitor, and is $29 for us with everything all inclusive. There's no upgrade. There's no extra bullshit. It's like, this is the feature that everybody is looking for. So that's what we added. Anyway, that was like a last minute tack on. I sent it to the devs. I asked them, hey, can we add this with the sleep feature? How much of a lift is this? Like, yeah, it's not much, like 16 hours. Done. Do it. Let's throw it in there. So I think that these little things, it's like these tiny nuances, these are the features that people are actually using, and we have a better UX and a way better design and supplementary features like the next big one that we're working on. Sorry, I'm totally taking this over now. I'm just excited. Big one we're working on is this nutrition feature, and another huge competitor, Solid Starts. It just tells you how to serve the food to the kid, which is something that's easy and hard-coded. You tap on the food. It's like, here's how to puree an apple. This is when you switch from puree to chunks. This is when you switch from chunks to strips, from strips to a full apple. It's like basic information at this rate. Why don't they have a meal planner? Why don't they have, oh, Johnny likes apples, but he hates oranges. Okay, here's a food recipe for like apple pancakes. Or I don't know, something like that. Or he's allergic to almond butter. Here's a better alternative to use. It's like, I just think that there are features that exist that people like, but they're either missing something or they're just not doing the core thing properly. Anyway, I'm going on a rant here.
It's definitely a good sign that, like, I mean, just like you said, Kathy had a problem. You're like, oh, we can solve that problem. And there's a high probability that lots of other people are also experiencing that problem.
Yeah.
All it takes is now just getting it in front of those people and letting her rip.
That's it. Yeah. And hope that ads work. If ads work, oh my God. I mean, if they'll work, but if they're profitable, if they're net positive ROAS, fuck me, I'm going to be so excited. I'm just going to scale this as hard as I can. Because that's the thing that I'm good at. I can scale up ads really, really properly.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. I'm excited. Hopefully I have an update for you next week.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a new idea I had where we could end these a little bit more standardized in a standardized way.
Sure.
So like how I've been recommending or how I've been talking about this book, I was thinking we can kind of copy the group chat podcast in a sense where they do like, what's your content recommendation of the week? And it could be a book, a tweet, a TV show, a movie, a podcast, a YouTube video, like literally anything that you got value from or that you thought was interesting or just had fun with, that I think would be a good way to like, okay, now we're done talking. Now you're like, what's your content recommendation of the week? And then we both kind of ended on whatever we have both engaged with. I don't know.
Cool, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. I'm gonna get a content recommendation. What's yours?
Well, so my first would be the Software as a Science book because I've been going through it again and again to try to pick out items that I've missed, so to speak, for the the first read through. So, I mean, yeah, I guess that would be my easy content recommendation of the week is the Software as a Science book by Dan Martell and a couple other folks.
That's a really good one. Okay, mine. I started binging this guy's YouTube series. His name is Adam Lyttle, Lyttel on YouTube,
Okay.
and he's an indie developer, and he talks about a lot of organic growth strategies. So mainly ASO, App Store Optimization, and it's so useful. This guy's launched, I think, like 50 or so apps. He's doing over 70K a month across all of his apps. And they're the simplest little functionality, like scanning a Yu-Gi-Oh card, or there's a currency converter that has millions of downloads. It's like very, very simple core functionality apps. So he gets the idea. There is a simple problem that is not currently solved in the most efficient way, and then he solves it in a better way, and is optimizing the App Store SEO.
How do you spell his name again?
Adam Lyttle, Lyttle. So this guy's been super useful.
Nice.
Yeah, really cool.
Diary of an Indie App Developer. Nice.
He also goes on this whole rant to build in public. He's like, he said, when I started building in public, I was at 10K a month. Now I'm at 70K a month. He's like, I'm just getting users by talking about what I'm building. Sorry, a little under the weather here. Anyway,
Went down the
that's
wrong
my
pipe.
content recommendation today.
Nice. Does he talk in his build in public? Does he talk about the amount of money that he's making?
Yeah, he did a video. It was like, yeah, from 10 to 70K a month. And it's basically all about building public.
I've been so hesitant to do that.
Yeah, I got it. It's the genie that you can't put back in the bottle. It's the thing. Once you let it out, it's like, it's out there. You really need to commit to talking about it if you want to.
Yeah. It's like
And you're also opening yourself up to all of your competitors knowing exactly how many, what your resources are.
Exactly. And investors and buyer, like everybody. Like the other side of that coin has always been like play everything close to the chest. You don't want to let anybody know what you're doing. Like build in stealth, but promote in public. Like yeah. I mean, there was a whole thread the other day about all these people like using AI to vibe code their new apps and showcase and building in public and all these things, and them not knowing that they're leaking their own API keys.
Yeah.
And I saw a guy that was like, at Sam Altman, please help me. I accidentally leaked my API key and someone ran up $600K in API costs on my bill, on my account. I can't pay that. Like, can you imagine $600K of API usage in like 72 hours?
Oh,
Insane.
man, that's heartbreaking. That's terrible.
So yeah, keep your keys private, folks.
Yeah, that's the main takeaway for this video.
Main
Keep your
takeaway
keys
for today.
private.
Yeah,
That's wild.
cool. Well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out his YouTube channel for sure.
Yeah, you should check it out. I'd never disclosed revenue that we were making in the agency until after we sold. And then I'm like, all right, well, honestly, we just need credibility. When I talk about agency shit, I just want people to know that this is the level that I operated at. And if you're doing more, you don't have to listen to me. But if you're doing less, which is most people, then I might have some good advice. So then I just started to talk about it on LinkedIn. But I didn't like go crazy of like, disclosing sale amounts. It's available if someone really wants to search for it, but I'm not using it as my bragging point. I'm not using it as my hook like Alex Hermosi every time.
Yeah. I also am, maybe this is a wrong worry, but I'm also worried of people seeing that, especially for me and my audience, seeing it, doxing me, and then like breaking into my house because it's all public available data. And I've tried to scrub as much of it off the internet as possible, but not that hard to like find out things about people.
Yeah, I've seen some horror stories like that.
Yeah.
Especially guys that make big money, like gambling, sports betting, just having their houses completely raided.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Nope.
So I'm very much in the camp of, when I'm rich, there will be signs and things like that. And, all those memes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, anyway, getting off topic, but
I think it's better to keep the genie in the bottle, honestly.
yeah. Oh, I was gonna say it's like the similar to the genie in the bottle of having a public Discord server. Can't go back on it now.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely not the most fun thing. But I also realized too, like without us doing it and controlling it, somebody else probably would have made a group or a server at some point, which we then have no control over.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, all right. Well,
Cool.
good session this week. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, everybody.